In today's lesson, we're learning how to find the equation of a line with 2 points. As mentioned in previous lessons, a linear relation is really just a pattern, and a pattern can be represented with an equation. These two equations mean exactly the same thing. Rate of change is the same thing as slope, and initial value is the same thing as the y-intercept. Remember, slope refers to the steepness of a line. You can find the steepness of a line by drawing a right triangle underneath it, then finding the rise and the run. Or, if you have 2 points on that line, you can use the equation y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. In this table of values, you are only given 2 pieces of information. You are told that when x is 10, y is 25, and when x is 20, y is 45. Using only these 2 pieces of information, I want you to work backwards to find the y-intercept. You could find the slope and then work backwards to find the y-intercept, but there must be a better way. In this graph, you'll see the same information from our table of values. When x is 10, y is 25. When x is 20, y is 45. Using just these 2 points, I want you to work backwards to find the y-intercept. You could start by finding the slope by drawing a right triangle from these 2 points, then working backwards to find the y-intercept, but there must be a better way. There is a better way, and that way involves using an equation and algebra. I'm going to get started by writing down the only information that was given. We were told that when x was 10, y is 25. We were also told that when x is 20, y is 45. Using just these 2 points, I can find the slope of a line that passes through these points. I'm going to replace some of these variables with their known values. y2 is going to be replaced with the number 45. Afterwards, y1 is going to be replaced with the number 25. Then I'm going to replace x2 with the number 20. And last, I'm going to replace x1 with the number 10. Therefore, 45 subtract 25 is 20, and 20 subtract 10 is 10. 20 over 10 is the same thing as 20 divided by 10, which is the same thing as just 2. Therefore, the slope is 2. Let's double check our slope to make sure it's reasonable. If you remember the graph we just looked at, if you drew a straight line through these 2 points, it would look something like this, which means it would have to have a positive slope. And the slope that we just calculated was positive. Therefore, you can feel pretty confident that you did these calculations correctly. Now that we know our slope is 2, we can use this equation and algebra to work backwards to find the y-intercept. The only 2 pieces of information that were given originally was that when x is 10, y is 25, and that when x is 20, y is 45. In this next step, you can either choose to use this first point or the second point in your calculations. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to be using the first point. At this point, we're going to be replacing some of our variables with their known values. So I'm going to replace the variable of y with the number 25. Next, I'm going to be replacing the variable of m, which is slope, with the number 2. After, I'm going to be replacing the variable of x with the number 10. The plus b stays exactly the same. This is going to look a little strange. This looks like 210. There is actually a multiplication sign between these two numbers. In my next step, I'm going to simplify 2 times 10. 25 stays in the same spot. 2 times 10 is equal to 20, and the plus b is still there. I want you to look for like terms. You'll notice that 25 and 20 are both like terms. Like terms like to be together, which means you can move the 25 over to be with the 20, or you can move the 20 over to be with the 25. I'm going to be moving the 20 over to be with the 25. Remember, generally speaking, you want to keep numbers and variables on separate sides of the equation. So when you bring a term over an equal sign, it becomes the opposite. So this is no longer positive 20, it now becomes negative 20. and the plus b stays exactly the same. I'm just going to be removing the positive sign since you don't need it anymore. 25 subtract 20 is 5, therefore 5 is the y-intercept. Now that we have both the slope and the y-intercept, we can represent this situation with an equation. The y-intercept was just determined to be 5, and the slope, we determined it to be 2. Therefore, this situation can be represented with the equation y equals 2x plus 5. Therefore, to summarize, using just 2 points or 2 pieces of information, we were able to find the equation of a line that passes through these 2 points.